Hey, guys, when we tell you we're a community, we mean it. Because if all you got to do is drop by here and you're on the show, that's how it goes. This, of course, is our good friend, Danon. He's a regular in our community, making his way to Friday Night Lights in Latrobe. Decided to pause here with us here from
DC.
DC. Okay, so you drove up and
about 4 hours.
Yeah, I made the drive.
And
then, as the boss insisted yesterday, she said he has to show up the way his avatar is, which is all suit and tie. Not quite suit and tie, but
a little bit.
There's an element of dapperness, certainly as compared to your regular host here. Danon, what are you looking forward to the most tonight about Friday Night Lights? In a football sense, I don't care about the ambiance or whatever. You're a football guy. Let's hear it.
Well, what I'm looking for at DK is how the team responds to adversity, whether or not the offense is getting beat, how do they respond? That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and what we saw on day one was the offense getting beat. And then we saw on day two, the offense responded. Now, tonight, the full expectation is that it'll be full pads because they practiced yesterday in shells. They were still trying to beat the snot out of each other. And now here they are on Friday Night Lights in front of thousands of people at Latrobe Memorial. Don't go to St. Vincent. It's not at St. Vincent. It's another stadium. It's another campus entirely. Offensively, though, give me a name. Because I know you're just from being in our little world here, you're looking for somebody specific. Who are you keeping an eye on?
I want to see how Calvin Austin is doing.
You're just doing this to butter me up because I'm a Cal guy. You can't. I was seeing right through you here.
The DK, we already know that Metcalf is going to do his thing.
Yes,
but we want to see Calvin Austin. How's he doing?
Cal, what he needs to do more than anything else is make sure that he's running his routes with precision, and then from there, get it and go. Like, Cal's not all that complicated a concept,
That's right. That's right.
And that's the way Arthur Smith has schemed him up. What about competition for Cal? And you know who we're talking about when we bring that up.
Well, I want him to beat a lot of the maybe double coverage he may be getting. And then I also want to see him do some double move. Because normally he just goes straight out, but maybe a double move, a curl, and then bounce right back out.
Well, if you think about Cal, like this was before the pads came on, but he was doing some double moves. He was getting open, and man, listen, I'm not preaching to the choir here when I talk about, Aaron Rodgers and his ability. It's not like anybody's going to be surprised by what it is that he can do because he's done it for 20 years. But the touch on the ball that just went over everybody's head. And I'm trying to picture that happening on a Friday Night Lights scenario where the crowd, you know how a crowd gets excited as soon as the ball's out of the hand.
And so,
yeah, exactly. How about defensively? Give me a name that you want to keep an eye on over there.
I want to see how Joey Porter Jr. is doing, because I think his role is going to be critical to the defense this year.
I think he's under a lot of pressure. Not a lot of people are mentioning.
From last year camp to now, it's a whole different mindset. Like, he has a lot to prove.
Well, he does. Think about this. Mike Tomlin identifies 3 what he calls coverage people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He doesn't even call them outside corner, slot corner, or whatever. And what that means is Peyton Wilson laid this out for us really nicely the other day. One guy gets one guy. So they're all like, it's Darrelle Revis out there. It's just everything is about the island.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Darius Slay is on somebody, Jalen Ramsey is on somebody, and Joey Porter's on somebody. If you're the other team, who are you picking on?
You can't, because there's no handoffs like before.
I'd be picking on Joey.
Yeah, me too.
Because Joey's going to get the flag.
Yes.
Until he doesn't.
Well, hopefully he has worked on that over the summer.
Like
in the past couple of weeks, what did you say?
Well, they haven't used refs yet. And we'll see if they use them tonight in Latrobe. But the thing that I need to see from Joey more than anything else, And I don't know that I'm going to, because I also kind of get the impression that Mike Tomlin doesn't mind all that much, the handsiness thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think he sees it as part of Joey's game, as almost a necessary evil. That, look, he's going to get away with it, 7 times out of 10?
Yeah.
So we'll deal with it when it flies. But in a perfect world, no, he's just covering.
Yeah, as long as it's not detrimental to the team. So that's the big thing I'm looking for.
Exactly. Nice having you here, Dane. And when we come back, we're going to be joined by Chris Halleck.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
And we're back, and we're going to try to be joined by Chris. There he is. I got the wrong box up. Let me try another one. There it is. Chris did it. How are you, man?
What's going on? How are you doing? Awesome little opening intro there. That was pretty cool.
Oh, we've had a bunch of people in today, and most of them have come like Dana did from out of state, and they're coming, for that little event that you're going to be at tonight.
Yeah, a little bit of a different experience for me.
A little bit, but at the same time, it's different is the right word. And I think the Steelers have done a really good job over the years of turning Friday Night Lights, including the cute name and everything. I know it's based on the TV show or whatever, and it's a high school stadium, but they've turned it into an event. The truth is, the actual thing that takes place isn't really any different than anything that happens in St. Vincent.
It's really not.
I don't mean to let that out of the bag, but it's just not.
No, it's not, but it is a little bit. There is a different feeling. I mean, I remember even the first time I even played football. I was 9. I might have been 9 years old, and first few games we play, it's during the day, it's in the afternoon, but then there's that one primetime game that we played, and I remember being a 9-year-old kid, putting on my pads and getting ready to go, and the sun's already down, and then you show up to the stadium and the lights are on. It is a little different. There's a different feeling, and fans are going to feel the same way tonight. They're going to be watching football under the lights, and it is a really cool experience for them. And I think it's really, really awesome for them. And it is a very different atmosphere than the rest of the practices during training camp.
Why do you say that?
Just because, like I said, it's the prime time aspect. I mean, even Mike Tomlin, emphasizes that when he talks about it, but there's just a different energy. It almost feels like fans are there showing up ready to watch a game, not to watch a practice. And yeah, it is different for sure. And when they have the pads on and there's live tackling periods at certain points, at backs on backers happens, it's what happens on the field. They try to simulate actual football as much as they possibly can.
We're going to talk a little bit about Kaleb Johnson, you and I. This is a difficult thing, the running back position, to evaluate at this stage of camp. It's about to become a much, much, much easier position to evaluate in the very near future. Notably, I think when we get to Jacksonville.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because now you're going to see, I mean, those tend to be running back displays, preseason games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, Jaylen Warren, when he was, a little wrecking ball throughout training camp practices before the first preseason game, it was like, whoa, this guy's, making, he's turning some heads out here. But then he goes into the preseason and he carries that over into games. That's where it's a little bit different. Now, granted, in that first preseason, he also put the ball on the ground a couple of times. And then I think for the rest of training camp, Jaylen Warren was actually just walking around holding on to a football the rest of the time, even whether he was at the field or whether he was at the cafeteria eating food, whether it was lunch or dinner.
Took it to the John.
Yeah. I mean, that was something.
Not that I was following Jalen to the John. It's just a line.
But no, I mean, you're right. It's one thing to see what Kaleb Johnson's going to be doing tonight. When backs on backers happens again, it's something else entirely when we get to Jacksonville next week. And if he goes out there and he looks like the same guy on tape from Iowa, and he's just finding holes and he's accelerating through them and he's finding, that's going to start.
Oh,
yeah, that'll get the hype train going real good. But that will be the first time we really get and really not just with Kaleb Johnson, with really any position, but yeah, with running backs, it is you kind of need that actual game action to get a first real taste of what they're going to be like.
Now, to date, again, when we're talking about Kaleb, there hasn't been that much to monitor or whatever, but when he has had the ball, we've seen some positives. We have seen that tendency that he has, if you want to call it a tendency, I think it's just a trait, really, something that he's born with, that he gets through the hole, or to the hole, I think is probably a better way to say it, in such rapid order that you don't even realize that it happened.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even bother analyzing it. He's just there. And then you're looking at the rest of the play. You know what I'm saying, Chris?
Yeah. So I went back and I watched even my own chalk talk that I did on him right when he was drafted. And then I was trying to think of some of the runs that he had. Granted, these weren't during the first padded practice because almost no running back had any lanes to run through during that time. But I started thinking of like some of the times we have seen him run through actual holes. And there was one play that I was even in my chalk talk in which he does this acceleration thing where he knows where he's supposed to go. He knows where his primary attack point's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then he can read whatever it is, whether it's, however it's taught, whether you're reading the leverage of the wherever your primary attack point is, you read the leverage against the defensive tackle, whether you read the linebacker, whatever it is. He got to about his third step after he had taken the handoff, and you could just see this burst of acceleration that you could only see from the side, from a sideline view.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But it wasn't anything that was overly like, oh, there he goes. It was a very subtle, but you could see it. It was tangible. You could put your eyes on it. And I think that's what's actually happening whenever we see these type of runs in Latrobe at St. Vincent College. Again, the big thing is going to be, can he do that when everything's live? When the offensive line isn't kind of just paving a hole for you, when the defensive tackles aren't actually going full bore trying to disrupt everything. That's going to be the big test whenever he doesn't have the same holes he had at Iowa.
And there are other tests that he's going to be put through too. One thing that we haven't talked about as much with Kaleb, probably as we should have, is that he is expected to be a significant portion of the passing game. That was some information that I came upon before training camp. It was around 3 or 4 weeks ago. And we've yet to see really running backs involved in the passing game. And I'm sure there are reasons for that. You need your wide receivers to be doing their thing at this phase. But once you get into preseason games and so forth, these are vanilla plays. You're not giving something away here. They're just flipping it to your running back and letting them run with it isn't something where you're reinventing the sport. Okay, so they can do a fair amount of that and show it, and I think that they will. And that unto itself, Chris, I think is going to show an impact that maybe a lot of people hadn't even considered as it relates to Kaleb. And by the way, Jaylen Warren too. I mean, we know that Jaylen can catch out of the backfield. What we don't know, and what I still don't know, is why they ever tried to get Najee Harris involved in this. Because you can just picture now, as I'm saying that, the little flip to Najee and then the 8% drop rate.
Well, I mean, I think the reason why they tried it with Najee is because he was an accomplished receiving back at Alabama. It's a little
different world, man.
It's different, and the Steelers did not use Najee the same way that Alabama did either. So That's the only part that I can really, or at least the I won't say the only part, the main part that I could say in Najee's defense is that the Steelers did not use him the same way that Alabama used him. And Alabama is also one of the best college football teams.
Right.
I mean,
and when you have these mismatches in college football, it ends up just being a farce in a lot of ways. And again, makes things difficult to analyze from an individual standpoint here. Our bus driver Al says, how's Caleb's blocking skills? They've been on display.
They have. He did not do well in backs on backers, but to be fair, none of the running backs really did well. There was like one, even Jalen Warren's most defined win was against Patrick Queen. And yeah, technically a win for Jalen, but it wasn't like it was emphatic whatsoever. It still would have created some pressure. But backs on backers is heavily skewed toward the defense. So we'll see what he does tonight. We'll see how he can respond, whenever he gets back and does backs on backers again, which I would anticipate that at Friday Night Lights. And if he does well, or at least if he improves, then that's what you want to see. You just want to see him get better every single time. But then also whenever it's team drill and there's passes out, there's an actual passing play, how does he look when it comes to pass protection? When we get to the first preseason game, when he's out there, regardless of who's at quarterback, how does he look in terms of being able to pick up a pass rusher? That's the kind of stuff, too. It's not just the actual blocking. It's also the identifying of where you're supposed to go.
All kinds of fun stuff coming in today about Terry McLaurin and now, of course, Micah Parsons. People, greed is so unbecoming. Steeler Girl says, hi, DK and Chris from out there in Hawaii. Thought about you over the weekend because of the whole tsunami thing and all the everything flash and everything. I'm going to presume, since nothing really came of that, at least in major headlines, that everything worked out all right. She says, hi, DK and Chris. Just want to say that Terry McLaurin becomes a Steeler. How do you see it working out with DK Metcalf? Whoa. Let's start with trying to work it out with the salary cap before anything else.
I don't think the salary cap is going to be much of an issue if that happens.
17 left, right?
I mean, right now,
5.
Right now, there's a pretty big disparity between over the cap and spot track.
Okay.
I don't know who's right. The only one who could really tell me that is if I were to see Omar Khan tonight on the sideline and I'd be asking, hey, how much actual cap room do you guys have right now?
Yeah.
But either way, I mean, McLaurin,
he knows.
Right. I'd have to look at McLaurin's final. I'm not going to pull it up now, but anything, I just like it was with Metcalf whenever they signed him to his extension, right after they traded for him, they actually reduced his 2025 salary from $18 million to $11 million, and then they billed the rest of the contract, accordingly. When I've gotten to the point now when it comes to any moves that are going to be made, I don't even get concerned about the salary cap. I just don't. Omar knows exactly what he's doing when it comes to this.
If he wants a player, he's going to get him. And I think more of it's going to have to do with what it is that it would take to satisfy Washington management from the trade standpoint. If you give up a second round pick for DK Metcalf, and then you go ahead and you compare Metcalf to McLaurin, you compare ages, you compare experience level, you compare accomplishments. And listen, I after everything they've already done, and after all the names that they've brought in, and after looking around in every single direction in Latrobe and going, whoa, that guy is here. Like, he's actually real. Like, there's Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
It just, he's almost an afterthought. Any other offseason, it would have been the Steelers' biggest acquisition, of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just another guy in that trade. But remember that when it comes to McLaurin, that you're going to be doing one of those, like you did with Metcalf in that event. You have to do a sign and trade, and you have to make sure that he's under contract. You don't want to have two wide receivers that are of the same age, that are signed, You know what I'm saying?
That's what Williamson brought up whenever we did the Southside beat last night. Is he brought up the fact that they're both Metcalf and McLaurin are from the same draft class.
Mm-hmm.
They're both the same age. I mean, this is going to be a situation. He said, I mean, I'm literally taking the words right out of his mouth, so I want to give him the credit for it. He said, I'd rather see that more staggered when it comes to the way your receiver room is built, especially if you have some larger dollar guys. That being said, I still think that it's something that Omar Khan either will or has already, he's turned over that stone. That would not surprise me whatsoever. Just to see, hey, know that he's requested a trade. Any chance he might be getting told, yeah, we're not trading him. I don't care what's going on. We're not trading him. I also think that after last year, with the way things went down with Brandon Ayuk, that we're not going to see the Steelers put all their eggs in the Terry McLaurin basket and just hope for the best. So I think it's intriguing. And I said, if the Steelers could get him straight up for a second round pick, I'd do it in a heartbeat. But I also understand trepidation when it comes to, having another large contract in the books, because now you're starting to have a number of large contracts. I mean, you got Metcalf, you got Watt, you got Hayward still. He's making some money. Patrick Queen is making more money now. Like these contracts do add up after a while. Now, you don't have to pay a quarterback right now. And even if you draft another one next year, you're still not having to pay a quarterback for at least 4 years. But those contracts do add up after a while.
Yeah, you gotta be smart about this too, and you also got to understand that your offense is now predicated on a lot of big bodies, multiple tight ends, and that the Steelers continue to do the polar opposite of burying Darnell Washington. Okay, he is very involved in this offense, and I don't just mean that the occasional target to be nice to him because it's a drill. I mean, he's moving around the line of scrimmage the way he has all summer. None of this is new, and none of it changed. Can't stress this enough with the arrival of Jonnu Smith. There's nothing that indicates a lesser role or lesser or fewer targets for Darnell. And don't lose sight of that, because what a weapon that is to have him available to do both things for you: block, support at a position where you're, a little bit questionable, meaning over there by left tackle. There's only so many targets as this team is currently constituted. Never mind, bringing in a Terry McLaurin, just kind of throwing that out there here. Brock says, hey, DK, catching my second ever live show. Training coverage. The training camp coverage this year has been intense. With all the pageantry, do the players feel more pressure? I'm not sure what you mean by the training camp coverage being more intense. If you're talking about the stuff that we're offering from Latrobe, thanks. I don't know how that would be pageantry or whatever. If you're referring to maybe because Aaron Rodgers is there, that how many additional outlets would you say have come that are non-Pittsburgh? It's like one or two max.
A few extra. The first day was a little.
Day was first day. Yeah. Like the Washington Post came, which was.
We had Canadian media here too.
Media too, and they come down. They do cover. Canadian media covers the NFL, even though they have their own league. The NFL is pretty popular up there.
Oh yeah,
but otherwise, it's the same lot of us pretty much day after day. So I'm not sure what kind of impression you're getting or what you're basing that on, but no, there's no additional anything. When the players come off the sideline, in particular, like a Pat Freiermuth or whoever, they're seeing the same people. Yeah. It's not any different. Ryan Lytle says he'd rather sign Gabe Davis, still young, 26. Obviously would come at a lesser price, infinitely lesser price. Okay, since he's still available right about now. And as we've been saying for a while now, as it relates to Davis, he's just got to be healthy, Chris. I know you like him a lot.
It's not that I like him a lot. I just think that there are a couple things. The first thing is, I think for what the Steelers have on offense and for what I think they're going to do on offense, I think Gabe Davis is the best fit for what they need.
That's interesting.
Well, he can number one, he can contribute in the run game. as a blocker. Like he's willing and he's able to do it. He's not like he's not Hines Ward, but he can still throw blocks in the run game. He can help take the top off the defense. So that would force the defense to, the deep ball is his game. When he was with the Bills, he was among the league leaders every single year in average depth of target. The deep ball is his game. And whenever you have that, when you have DK Metcalf on the other side, you then force the defense to play more too high man or too high looks, because if you don't, then you literally are giving one side an advantage, and you don't want to do that with DK Metcalf over there. So then you leave Gabe Davis one-on-one on the other side, and he can catch a lot of deep balls. So that would then force the defense to play more too high. That takes another guy out of the box. That gives more a better chance to succeed in the run game. I think Gabe Davis is also probably most likely because of, number one, how affordable he is, and he's still available. You don't have to give up any assets.
Yeah, that's not a small thing. Don't forget that one of the things that Omar is proud of and has expressed this pride is that he has not forfeited future assets.
Yeah,
for almost all of what's been acquired. Now, you can make an argument if you throw Minkah Fitzpatrick into there because he was signed for a few more years, and you can certainly point out that a second-round pick was given up for Metcalf, although that was a pick that wasn't that a pick that they wouldn't have had. I can't remember right now, but there was something that go ahead.
The trade for Metcalf was just a second, and then it was a late round pick swap.
I know what it was, and then they got the third for George
for Pickens. Yeah, so they have
what I was thinking of.
3 third rounders right now. So
yeah, this is Steeler Mama says that this is probably another agent ploy. You can say that about a lot of stuff this time of year. I'm way more into the Gabe Davis type mold than I am here, because I am not interested in forfeiting this team's future. I understand what's at hand this year, but I also understand that I was just saying there's only so many targets.
There are.
There's only so many times you can throw the ball.
There's only one ball to go around. The last thing you want to do is try to emulate anything the Jets did with Aaron Rodgers last year. You do not want to go into the season, or at least now be more than a week into training camp, been going through the complete offensive install. And I'm not saying that this would happen, but then trade for Terry McLaurin, and then Mike Tomlin walks into Arthur Smith's office and says, "We're blowing everything up. We're going to go back to Aaron Rodgers being second in the league in pass attempts, and we're not even going to run the ball anymore." Like that's what the Jets did. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, so, it doesn't really align. It's exciting and it's fun, but my goodness, there's been enough of that already this summer. Dwight Jefferson says, Chris and DK, what kind of tempo do you think the offense will operate under? Will Aaron Rodgers use most of the play clock? To what Chris just said here has to be taken at literal face value, which is that you still want this team to be about time of possession. You still want this team to be about running the clock. Chris, when you and I run into Arthur Smith after games, what has him beaming more than any other number?
Time of possession.
Time of possession every time. And he's able to say to you, 35-23. Do you see that? 35-23. Do you see that? Yeah, coach, we saw it. 35-23 is the last thing we looked at upstairs coming down because we knew you'd bring it up. Yeah. And that's what they want this to be built on, because that is a tide that raises all ships, because now your defense is not out there as long. Now your TJ Watt snaps are more valuable because TJ is going at full engine. Your Cam Hayward snaps are more valuable. Your 17-game impact is huge by having your defense out there less. And if they're out there less just because Aaron Rodgers is standing behind center, looking around. Now he can wink at Mike Tomlin, by the way. He can do that again.
Right.
I'm actually going to ask him about that. But he can now look over at Tomlin and wink at him and buy himself some clock. And then also, let's not forget, Aaron Rodgers is eminently capable of going up to the line of scrimmage and using that time to his advantage.
Well, and that's why whenever when DK was reading the question, and as soon as I saw, will Rodgers use most of the play clock? That's why I just started nodding my head, like yes. If anything, I know that he is already driving the Steelers defense crazy with how much of the play clock he is using during training camp practices, during team drills.
It's not helping in camp. Right?
He is milking that as much as he possibly can, and the defense is ready to go. And he's using the cadence, and I mean, yesterday's practice, he got multiple times guys to jump offside. Like
great.
That kind of stuff. Again, this is stuff that he's been doing for a long time. Age does not change that. Age does not change your ability to use your voice or to use a really good cadence, or doesn't make your football smarts any worse. You can, if anything, you can only get better when it comes to that kind of stuff. So, yeah, no, he's going to use the play clock.
Swan asks, "Hey guys, David Bakhtiari is currently a free agent as a seasoned left tackle and a friend of Aaron Rodgers. Is there any sense if Broderick Jones struggles that he could be signed?" Boy, Bakhtiari is an unusual case. Let me tell you a little bit something about him and his history. He's probably either the most or one of the most respected players at his position in his prime. Alejandro Villanueva used to tell me that the way he would bide his time during the week and preparing for a Steelers game wasn't so much focusing on his opponent, but it was focusing on Bakhtiari film, because he wanted to be that good. He wanted to be that much of a master of technique that Bakhtiari's always been. Now, as for where he is a free agent. He's 33 years old, which actually isn't all that old in left tackle land. Mm-hmm. But the Packers finally had to give up on him after the 2023 season because he'd played only 13 games over 3 seasons because of persistent, just nonstop injuries. So the fact that he hasn't been in the league since 2023, I really don't know what to say. You know, there was some speculation a little while ago that he was being looked at by the Patriots or whatever. But listen, man, look at what league we're talking about, and look at what is the hottest, most precious, most valuable non-quarterback position on the field. Mm-hmm. If David Bakhtiari was healthy, he'd be somewhere and really, really getting paid.
That's when there is a free agent that is remaining a free agent for any length of time, there is usually a reason. That means all 32. I mean, okay, this is another thing I want. And I'm not trying to dunk on the guy at all because he's here and the Steelers wanted him. But when Mason Rudolph first hit free agency, like I'm talking about the first time before, like before he was brought back in ahead of the 2022 season, he was a free agent for a while.
Yeah.
And all 32 teams were saying, no, thanks. And then the Steelers were finally the ones to bring him back after they had already drafted Kenny and obviously signed Trubisky. And they brought him back and he was QB3. But it took a long time for that to happen. Gabe Davis is still a free agent right now because there's a lot of concern over his knee. Amari Cooper, there is concern over him. Now, it could be because of injuries last year, because it could be because of age. But either way, it's August 1st and he's still a free agent. This is a guy at one point who was one of the better receivers in the NFL. Keenan Allen is just now starting to really kind of get some traction in terms of making, signing with a team. Again, there are reasons why. And then you're talking about a guy who didn't even play at all in 24. It just makes it that much more foggy. And I have a hard time that being a backup plan.
Yeah, there's a leeriness in general. This has nothing to do with Bakhtiari specifically, but whenever you've been out for a while, there's a perception, whether it's fair or not, that you have checked out. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's a really difficult thing to come back. Anybody who saw our show today with Ramon Foster, somebody asked Ramon, "Do you miss playing?" And before they even got to the G sound in playing, he goes, "No." What about this time of year? No.
Yeah.
It's that kind of sport. You know, I ran into David DeCastro not that long ago, or half of him anyway. These guys, man, they slim down when they get out.
Oh, man. And I saw Matt Spaeth was at practice yesterday, and
he's 1/3 of him.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that's different.
Crazy.
when you see some of their transformations, Marquise, have you seen Marquise?
Marquise,
You never in a million years know that he was an offensive lineman.
Not same pedigree, but very, very recent. Mason Cole has also lost a lot of weight.
Yeah,
lot.
I could see that. I could see
He
that.
lost a lot.
But these guys, when they're out, they're out.
Mm-hmm.
And they remember, you know, all of what they have to go through, what they have to endure in these sessions, as physical and punishing as they are, and the recovery processes and everything else. And no. So,
yeah, I mean,
especially in Bakhtiari's case, just to close that out, with the 3-year run that he had of injuries, that only multiplies this.
Yeah, for sure. I was just gonna say, like, I saw Max Starks last night. We were just meeting up and having fun, and I mean, that dude still looks like he could play. And the thing is that he's not he's not even as big as he was whenever he's playing. Like that. That's just what's. He's just a large human being. He's just.
Well, that's what I used to say about Max, was that when he played tackle, it was the only way to beat him was to go get a cab, and go all the way around him.
Yeah, for real. So he can move, and he was just massive. By the way, I think people need to remember. People need to remember about Max. He was the starting right tackle when they won Super Bowl 40, and he was the starting left tackle when they won Super Bowl 43. I wonder how many tackles have won multiple Super Bowls starting on both sides, on either side.
I don't have that answer. John Malesko is asking about Zach Banner. I really liked him.
Left tackle.
I really liked him. You know, but yeah, that's a little tough. We're going to take a couple more questions today. Looking here for the ones that I've starred. Oh yeah, Cody Silva came in with a couple of bucks and says, "Is Pat Meyer the Matt Canada of offensive line coaches?" He might be, if by that you mean what the public perception of him will be. I have a feeling that he's going to be the one. Well, I mean, Tomlin's the one that always has the target, on his back from the fan standpoint. But people are going to start asking the question of Meyer that they've asked of others in the past, especially as it relates to positional guys, because it's so targeted. Who has he made better? They've given him an assortment of first round, second round picks, and they've also gotten guys who are really expensive. The free agents that they brought in, James Daniels, Isaac Seumalo, these are pricey players. It's not like he's just been given a bunch of sludge. And to me, Meyer's job hinges singularly on the performance of Broderick Jones. Oh, come on.
No, I agree with you, but I don't think it should. And I understand. I get it. I get that there's so much. I mean, it was Omar Khan's first draft pick. They traded up to get the guy. The coach can only do so much. I think part of this has to also be on Broderick, especially when you look at what he did as a rookie. It's not like he hasn't put accomplishments on NFL tape before.
Right.
And so part of this has to be on the player. But the easy scapegoat is to blame the coach, whether it's the head coach or whether it's the position coach or the coordinator or whatever it is. The easiest way out for fans is to blame the coach, when the player needs to take a brunt of the blame too, because when you look at everything else that's transpired, James Daniels, yes, was a free agent, but he just got a contract with I think the Dolphins, coming off of an Achilles injury. Like, that's a major injury for an offensive lineman, and he got that contract because he played really well for the Steelers. Mason McCormick comes in as a 4th-round pick out of South Dakota State, is then thrust into the starting lineup when James Daniels goes down, and plays pretty darn well, all things considered. Zach Frazier, 2nd-round pick, comes in and has a phenomenal rookie year, in which he, like, according to what Matt Williamson looked up, he put this on Twitter the other, I think a couple of weeks ago, 2 blown run blocks all year, and the best pressure rate against of all centers in the NFL. Yeah. I mean, that stuff is being completely forgotten when it comes to Pat Meyer, and it's only Broderick Jones's failures that's being attributed to him. I think just the But I think you're right, though, that if Broderick Jones fails this year, Pat Meyer will get blamed for it.
Yeah, not everything in life is fair. Our last question for the day comes from Derek Doherty, who says, "Look, who looks faster, Jaylen Warren or Kaleb Johnson?" I'm going to throw an incomplete onto this one because I still want to see Kaleb Johnson really cut loose.
Yeah.
Those situations haven't presented themselves to him in the camp setting just yet. However, I will say that you will be in for I don't want to say surprise, but you'll be happy when you start paying attention to that yourself in the preseason games and you realize that there isn't that much daylight between them in that regard, or when it comes to hitting holes. I'm a little leery of going too far with the hitting the holes thing because I feel like I'm a little over the top with it sometimes, because we had a running back that we were covering for years who would just look at the hole and go, look at that. It's a hole. What am I supposed to do with that thing?
Yeah.
Having two guys who are attacking that hole is going to be an adjustment, I think, visually and viscerally for all of us.
Yeah, it's hard to say at this point in camp again, because number one, the first real run team drills of camp, which, that is live tackling. The defense just smothered. I mean, Warren couldn't get anything going. Johnson couldn't get anything going. Kenneth Gainwell had one good run, and Corey Trice had him dead to rights, and Gainwell just spun him around like a top and then just, went past him. But even then, that was a moderate gain, I think, of like 6 or 7 yards. It wasn't anything like massive.
Right.
It's not like he broke off and, gained 20 yards. It's hard to say at this point because we've had literally one padded practice in which there's been live tackling during run team. So it's just, incomplete is the correct answer.
Guys, when we come back, we're going to take care of a little bit of business here on the Double Shot Show. All right, let's take a look at what we have here. Steeler Mama came in with a gift. I'm pretty sure our good friend Carrie did too. There's Carrie right there with one gift as well. The butthole coming in with one gift. You notice how that's just become so normal?
Yeah.
Like it's just become like a way of life here. Antonio Jackson with 5 early gifts in the show. All of this much appreciated. Cody coming in with a couple of bucks here. Jim Matthews became a new member. We'll be putting up the membership count here in a moment. Manny had 10 gifts right there. Macaroni salad with 20. And Justin Watson sliding under the closing garage door there, as he sometimes does, comes in with 5. And let's have that membership count now. It is, she says, close the comments. I'm closing the comments right there. 2014, we're just hovering around that 2,000 mark. As I was discussing earlier here in the shop with Dane, our community member who was here at the beginning, we got to get a jump on this thing to get up to 3,000. That's something that's a very real goal for us, a way to make sure that we're funding this show properly and that we can do all these live hits and members only things. And speaking of that, tonight, when Latrobe, when the Friday Night Lights thing is over in Latrobe, one way or another, we're going to find a way to hook up with Chris. I don't know exactly how that's going to go. We're going to have to stay in touch. As far as logistics go, the Wi-Fi isn't great up there and other stuff. So it might have to be something that once you're bussed back to St. Vincent or something. I don't know.
Probably what it's going to be.
That's probably what it's going to be here.
Yeah, just because like once practice is over, it's like players are literally running off the field to get back to the bus, and I'm trying to get as many interviews as possible, and it's even harder to do that tonight than it is at normal practices. So and then the bus ride back isn't always the quickest. So yeah, we'll figure that out. But and then I think I have to be out of the Rogers Center by 11 p.m. no matter what.
There we go. Well, we're going to get it done one way or another here. Your membership, this is going to be members only. So your membership, well, let's put it this way. If you don't have one yet, or you showed up here in a non-green script, Now would be a really good time to get it because you're going to get some really good information tonight that you're not going to be able to get anywhere else. It's dkps.net/join. You can see right under Chris over there. Type that into your web address. Okay, don't go tapping on Chris's head or anything like that. You don't want to give him a concussion. dkps.net/join. Type it into your URL and become a member. It's 99 cents a month, and it covers all of our shows and all of our stuff on the Steelers channel. And it gets you first in line for asking questions and all that other stuff. So let's get that done now and start getting that number a little bit higher, up to 3,000. Appreciate you guys. Really do. Everybody who's in. Appreciate everybody who watches or partakes in any of our programming. And we will see you member people tonight